Welcome back to the OxFounders Global Podcast. Today we are honoured to be joined by Dr Mairi Gibbs, the CEO of Oxford University Innovation. Mairi has spent over 20 years helping turn cutting-edge research into real-world businesses, leading the creation of hundreds of spin-out companies. We'll be talking to her about what innovation truly means, how we should view social entrepreneurship, and what underhyped industries everyone will be speaking about in the next 5 years. Let's jump in.
My first question to you is, innovation can often be used as a buzzword. In your experience at OUI, what does true innovation look like in practice?
So for me, innovation in practice is really practical. It's not about having great ideas, because loads of people have great ideas every day. It's about enacting on those great ideas, building a plan and making something happen that didn't previously happen in the world. That's true innovation for me.
And what's the role of universities in driving that and fostering that?
I think universities have a huge role. Universities train lots of people, of course, and you don't have any innovations, don't have any new businesses without really great people building them and driving them. Universities are also great sources of amazing research, new ways of looking at the world. Sometimes that research itself generates new intellectual property that can be commercialised, and that's what we focus on at OUI. But sometimes it can teach just a new way of thinking about things, and then that inspires other people as well. I think universities are really super involved in the whole process of having an innovative culture across the country and across the world.
Are there any emerging industries or technologies that you believe are underhyped right now, and what would they be?
We see a lot of excitement from the academic community and a lot of really interesting opportunities in deep tech. So these are trying to build new equipment, new products and services based on physical science, usually, with really interesting applications. When they're successful, it's really transformative in our economy with those types of deep tech technologies. Also, diagnostics get much less attention than therapeutics on the life science side of things, but still really, really great technologies. And clean tech, of course, is so important. I'm not sure we've seen the potential of that yet.
Absolutely. We have a lot of founders who are listening.
Yeah.
Most successful founders started with a terrible work-life balance and were just constantly stuck in the grind. Is that something that's just an inevitable part of the startup journey?
I think it's a bit inevitable, because I think in order to have the drive and the self-belief to be a founder of anything, you're going to be driven. And then with that level of drive and ambition comes a risk of pushing yourself really way too hard. I would always advise self-care, because if you run yourself into the complete ground, then that's not going to be any much help to anybody. But also more constructively, I think it's a real privilege to be able to set the culture. As the founder, you get the say. So I sort of think you can turn it back to yourself and go, well, what sort of business do I want to lead? What sort of business do I want to work in?
Yeah, that is one of the great benefits of building your own thing.
OUI is increasingly focused on social enterprises. What are some sectors you think that impact ventures have the potential to disrupt traditional businesses?
Yeah, I think there's huge potential, particularly for service-based business models, and particularly where the aim of the company is to deliver something that's got some social benefit associated with it. For instance, our company Wise Responder has a multi-dimensional index to understand the causes of poverty, and that's rolled out as a service to governments and companies, particularly across South America. So that's a social venture with a service model. They haven't needed huge amounts of investment. They're doing huge amounts of good. I think it's super important. It can't just be about the money if you're a social enterprise.
What would you advise to startups in the social space in terms of approaching investors and raising capital?
Yeah, so social ventures are still businesses, so they should still have a really coherent plan for the business. They should have a plan for the money. They should know what their cash burn rate is going to be, how much income they're expecting to make from their customers. So that there is no shortcut to quality running of a business. Where they do vary is that the amount of money that is possible for the shareholders to make is much constrained. Serious growth funding of the type that a purely commercial company will be able to raise is going to be much more difficult. So I'd advise any social entrepreneur to be thinking really hard about how they can get some money from the process of doing their thing. They shouldn't be planning on being a venture-backed business all the way through to market.
And our last question, what historical figure would have been a unicorn founder if they lived today?
So I'm going to say Beethoven, because I'm a musician, and Beethoven was somebody with an extraordinary talent and a gift, and he knew what he wanted to be able to communicate, and he carried right on through extraordinary adversity. He went deaf, right? And he's a musician. He literally couldn't hear, and in some of his later music, the tinnitus is literally written into the music. What a thing to have to deal with, right? And he still carried on creating. So I think had he been not a musician, but a startup founder, that drive and determination would have seen him to pretty high valuations, I reckon.
Absolutely. He would have definitely been more on the grind than the work-life balance side.
He would have been more on the grind than the work-life balance side, for sure. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mary.